What are modules and why they are important in Python? That is what we are going to discuss in this video. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the next video in the Basics of Python series where we are trying to understand Python in a step-by-step manner. My name is Mukesh Kala. I am a 4 times UiPath MVP and a LinkedIn top voice. I have shared my LinkedIn details on the page. Feel free to send me a connection request and I would be happy to be part of your network. In this Basics of Python series, we have already covered all of these topics. So in case you are not aware of any of these, feel free to watch the playlist and you would have the complete understanding of the Python. Okay. And lastly, in case you are coming to the channel for the first time and you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel to get the next videos in the same playlist. Having said that, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing first, what exactly are modules? If I go by the definition, a module is a file. When I say file, it is simply a Python file which will contain Python definition and the statement. So whatever work which we have to do again and again, and if I want to create a separate module out of it, that is what it's simply called a module. To consider an example, let's say today you have to write an logic where you have to first log into an application, then you have to grab some data and send an email. So totally we have 3 components in our program. So rather than writing this complete program into a one py file, I would rather like to have it into separate module where login becomes one module, extraction become one module, and sending an email becomes another module, right? So that's the simple thing what is defined by the module. Now the file name in the module is suffix with the .py, right? As we know that it's a Python, so it's .py. Modules allow you to organize your code in a manageable sections, right? So why do we want to have manageable sections? Because if I write the complete program in a single py file, it would be, let's say, 1,000 lines of code. Now at any point of time, if I want to debug it, if I want to remove some functionality or I want to add some functionality, it would be difficult for the developer to work on the code. Hence the easy way is to work and create something which is called modules. Okay. Now, why they are important? Modularity, right? Modules and packages promote modular programming, which can divide your code into separate components which can be individually tested, developed and maintained. Reusability. One piece of code can be built as a module, and in case there is a different project or a different program where you want to reuse the same code, it can be easily used. And lastly, as I already mentioned, it is maintainable. So with organizing the code into modules and packages, which we'll discuss into the packages we are going to discuss into the next video. So whenever we do modules and packages, it's easier to maintain, easier to debug, and all of things come with the modules, right? So basically it's a good practice to work on modules, and today we are going to do a hands-on. Okay, so what I would request you guys is, whatever I am doing today, it's going to be a hands-on session. I would be opening my Python editor and I would be doing it in a step-by-step manner. To better understand the concepts, it's easier, it's always recommended to have the hands-on. So I would request you please open your terminal and follow along with me. Okay, so back to my VS Code, and this is the same program which we have been using, same solution, right? So I'll just close this. Exception we have already discussed, right? And this is the same project, guys, where we have been doing all of this stuff. So first thing first, I'll go here and I'll create a new file. Okay, and let's start by creating a first module, right? So I will simply call it as, let's say, my module. Okay, so my module.py. Okay, .py, because this is a Python file, right? So I created something which is called my module.py, and I think it's created inside this file, but I can always drag it outside like this. Move. Okay, so my module.py. Okay, now here, first thing first, whenever you have to define a module, you have to use a .py. That's obviously the basics, right? So now I'll just say, let's say today we are going to start with something basic where we say greet the user and do the sum. Okay, I want to create a module which is greeting the users and it is doing the sum, right? So basically here I am just writing the definition. I do not know who is the user, and I do not know for doing the sum what is the number. It can be 2 plus 2, 10 plus 20, or for the user it can be any user, right? But I have to write a module which can be utilized by all the programs and all the developers, right? So that's where I am going to use something which is called modules. Okay, now here the first thing first, we are going to use the def keyword. I hope you guys remember it from the previous videos where we talked about the functions, right? So that's the same thing. So for the greet, I just call it something which is called greet, and then I say that if you have to greet somebody, you need input as a name, right? So define greet name, and then we say that whatever you want to do with this name. So what this is I created a function, and when you have this, I simply want to return, right? What does you want to return? Return means when this function will execute, what do you actually want to return, right? So I simply want to say hello, right? Or I say hello user, and I say your name is whatever, right? Whatever you choose to write here, you can just put it here, and then I just put a comma, and then in the square bracket, in the curly braces, we write the name, which is nothing but this guy, right? But now this is coming as a string, so to make it a formatted input, I hope you guys remember from the previous tutorials, we just need to put a F, right? So that way it becomes a formatted text. Okay, so now whenever somebody is calling this module, they can use this function whose name is greet, the input is user, the input is the name, and this is what they have to do. Okay, I forgot the colon here, that's why this error, right? Now one module can have multiple different functions. So this one was for greeting the users and to do the sum, right? So now I'll do here, and I will just write a comment, and I'll say this is for the sum, right? I'm doing something basics which all of us can relate, but you can do it for other purposes as well, right? So now greeting the user was done here, right? And now I am writing a different one into the same module. I say define, my bad, the same keyword def name, which is the sum, and then a comma b, which simply means that I want have two inputs. Here we have one input whose name is name, here we have two inputs which is a plus b. Now what do you want to do? I just say return and a plus b, very simple, right? And that's it. So here you have created actually two functions into one module, right? And here we are not going to execute it. We have just created and provided a definition and the code. We are not using it. Now the program, whosoever is interested to use these functions, can simply import these modules, right? So I'll just save my module. Okay, and now here I'll just go and create a new file, okay, which we say that I can just say mod module underscore new file, okay, dot py, right? Now this is a new Python file. Who does not understand about this, right? So this we have created separately, and this is a separate file. Now first thing first is you have to import a module. So this guy, which is mod new file, I'll just mention that this is a new program. This new program does not know, right, what is my module, where is my module. So first thing first is we need to tell this guy that, hey, there is something which is called my module, you need to utilize it. So I'll just go here and I'll say import, right? Now what do you want to import? And I simply say my module. You see, import my module is coming here, right? So now as soon as I use my module, it understand that hey, you have some module which you are expecting here, and in that module you would have some functions which you want to utilize. Now if you see here into the my module, we have two functions. The name of the function was greet and the name of the function was sum. Okay, so now in this module I simply have to go and say print, right? What do you want to print? I just say that from my module, okay, and I put a dot. As soon as I put a dot, you would see that I am getting the two functions which we have created. First one was the greet, where it shows you that hey, you have name as an input, and the second one is a sum, where it says that you have two inputs, which is A and B. So as soon as I put my module and I put a dot, I get something which is 2. So which one you want to utilize? I want to utilize this one, which is the greet. Okay, now the greet was expecting one argument, and it shows that the name of the argument was name, right? So in the double quotes I'll just say Mukeshkala, which is my name, right? And that's it, right? And now this guy, when we'll execute, it will go to this module, pass the Mukesh here, and it will return this guy. So whatever is the output, I just want to print it, so I'll put it into quotes like this, right? And that way I have utilized the greet. Similarly, if you see here, I have one more which is called the sum. So now into the new program, if I want to use the sum, I can just say that from the my module, which is this guy which you have just imported, hit a dot, and then you put something which is called the sum, and then I put a bracket, and sum is expecting two numbers, so I just say 100 and 200, right? And that will invoke it. Now if I want to print the results, I just use the print statement. I hope you guys remember this from the previous modules. Print and close this, right? So now if I run this file, what should happen? You should get this message, which is your name is this, and it should automatically calculate the sum as well, where the implementation is in a different module. Okay, so I'll just bring this console a little up and run the Python file. Okay, and in the console we can see that hello user, your name is Mukeshkala, and the output is also printed to 300, right? Now what is the benefit here? Okay, now the benefit which you should realize is, tomorrow in case you want to change this output, right? And now assuming that this same thing, this same new program, right? There are, let's say, 10 developers who have utilized your same modules and same function. Now if I am not using modules, and if there is some change which is happening, all these developers have to go and change in the code, right? If you are not using the modules. However, when you are using the modules, you just have to change the module and everything else is there. So I can just say here hello user. Instead of this, you can see here I have made a spelling mistake, right? So that was wrong. So I just say that your name is this, hello user, and I just say something like that, updated text, right? Something. And here also whatever you want to change, you can change here, right? Instead of, let's say, a plus b, you decide to do it as a minus b maybe, right? So you just save this module, and whatever definitions you have changed, you don't need to change anything in your program. So now if I just go and I rerun this, you should see that hello user, updated text, your name is this, and minus 100. Now for all the other 10 developers who are using these modules, the updated code is available directly to their program, right? If I would have written this same program into the same file, and if 10 developers have used that, all the 10 developers have to go and again change it into all the 10 files. So that is the benefit of using the modules, right? You can just use any of the module, and tomorrow in case you want to add more definitions to it or more functions, you are free to add it, right? This can be separate, where a separate team is maintaining the module, and this can be, let's say, a team of developers or junior developers who are just utilizing the functions, right? So that's how you actually use the modules, which is by creating a .py file, and you define the functions, and then to utilize them, this is important, where you say you have to import the modules. Okay, so that's how easy it is to utilize and make the modules, right? I hope you guys understood that. If that is the case and you are able to follow along, just comment down that understood the modules, and I would understand that yes, you are on the same page. Okay, so with that, I'll save this. Back to my presentation, and you can see that this is the same thing which we just did in the hands-on, right? So to create a model, we create .py, we add the definition, we add the functions, executable code, then we have the functions defined, and to import we have to use something which is called import module. Now the next thing is import variants, right? So basically, when you are importing, there are some of the variants which as a developer you should know. The reason for that is, let's say you already have a big Python code and you are trying to understand code, and somebody is using a specific function or somebody is using the aliases. You should know that how these modules and how the specific functions are imported, right? I'll try to show this with our example so you can relate to this one, right? And then I'll come back to the presentation. Okay, so now if you see here, this was our module.py. I have a function which is greet, and I have a module, I would say, which is the sum, right? Now here I have used the import my module at the top, right? So that's why whenever I am using a dot function, I am getting all the functions, right? But consider this, that you have more than 100 functions here into the my module, right? And now you do not want to import the complete module at the top, right? You do not want to import the complete module at the top because you don't want all the 100 functions. I am only interested in, let's say, this guy, which is the greet. So now do I need to again import it? The answer to that question is no. Okay, let's try to see how you can import a specific functions from the module. Okay, so I'll go here and I'll create a new file. I will call this as mod, which is for the module underscore specific underscore function. Okay, and how sorry, and at the top I'll just mention import specific function, right? Okay, my bad, I forgot to add .py, so we can fix that by renaming it and putting .py. Okay, so import specific functions, right? So now I hope you remember. So I do not want to have this complete import. I do not want to import the complete module. I am just interested in this greet function from the my module, which is this one, right? So to do that, you can only use this syntax, which is from where? From my module. Okay, and I want to import. What do you want to import? I only want to import this function. So from module import greet. That's it. No need to actually go at the top and import the complete function like this, right? So specific function can be utilized like this. And now to use that, I just go here and I say print. Okay, and whatever, right? So that is again your implementation. Print is fine, but to utilize that, you just use greet and you pass the name, which is, let's say, my name, right? And you want to print the output, so I just use a print statement here, and that's it. So what I have done here is, I do not wanted to import this complete module into my program. However, I was interested only in one function. So that's why I say from my module import the greet and print this. Now if I just go and run this, I'll just do a Ctrl+S, save this, and it says hello user, updated text, your name is my name, right? Which is coming from here. So that's how you actually import a specific function. Okay. Now, one more thing. Sometimes what happens is, if you see this one, right? So every time I am writing my module, right? Sometime when company create this modules, right, they give a big alias like company name dot program name dot something something, right? It's a very big name. Now every time I am using this, I am not feeling comfortable to use this my module everywhere, right? It's a very big. So you can actually put something which is called aliases. Aliases means that you can just shorten the name, which is kind of a shortcut, right? So I just go here and I say import my module, and I say here I want to call this guy as okay. Now instead of using my module dot greet, I can say mm. Now whenever I use in the program and I put a dot, I get the same functions, right? So you can always use aliases to shorten the name of the modules, and whenever you want to utilize it, you can just use the aliases rather than using the complete name, right? I'll just do a Control Z here. This was your previous program. If you want to shorten the name, we just say as and you put the name. That's how easy it is to use the aliases. Okay, so two things to take from this I would say this demo is that you can use aliases by as or to import a specific function, you say that from module import and greet, right? If you do not want to import the complete module, you can import a specific function by using this syntax, which is the from and the import. Okay, this guy will make sense to you, right? Importing a specific function, you can import specific function or a variable by using this. Using the aliases, import my module is greet dot greet dot alias, right? So whatever you want to do, you can just do it like this as well. Aliases actually shorten the name for you. Okay, so that is pretty much I wanted to cover in this video. I hope now you guys have a clear understanding on what are modules and how do you use them in the Python. In the next video, we are going to see how we can utilize some of the built-in modules which are available from Python. So with that, wrapping this video here. Thank you for watching. Any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video of the Python series.